Hello. Oop, this is still on. I have dishes to catch up on. So we are actually not quite ready. But I guess I'll soldier forth and do dishes in between because there's a few things here that are going to take a bit of time. Hello, welcome. I'm a little frazzled. I'm a little frazzled because I only decided what I was making about 15 minutes ago. Which means I've done no planning. I was at the farmer's market this morning looking for inspirations, and I didn't come up with anything. It was after I got home, I was talking to myself, chatting with, I was actually in Violet's chat, chatting with some people over there, that I settled on an idea, and then I'm like, oh shoot, I should have bought some fresh tomatoes from the farmer's market. Because I was literally just there, and tomatoes are coming in, so I could have gotten some garden fresh, beautiful tomatoes from the farmer's market, and I did not, because I had not settled on what I was going to do, and I didn't want to buy tomatoes without a plan because tomatoes go off. I have a terrible time about having tomatoes that go off. So I've got a slightly gone off tomato that we can try to salvage to get some fresh tomato in there. Otherwise, we're going to use a can for that. We're diving into Moroccan cooking today. I'm still cleaning stuff up around here too, so you'll excuse me for being especially distracted, especially first thing right now. But we're diving into Moroccan cooking today, which I have never done before, and I don't recall ever having eaten before. I haven't even cleaned up anything. Yeesh. I caught myself off guard today. That's, I suppose, par for the course. Yeah, so what we're making today is, I have to look at my own caption for this, Zaalouk and Khobz, which is an eggplant dip and bread, much like the baba ganoush and pita, but from a different part of the world. Selena, hello, welcome in. How's it going? You're first. So I've got some eggplants. I've got a tomato that started to go off, so we're going to carefully cut into it and trim away the off part and see how much of it I can salvage. I'm not going to show it off just yet because it's a little bit unpleasant looking. And then we're going to throw in a can of tomatoes. I don't have whole cayenne peppers, but I have whole dried Thai chilies, and I have ground cayenne, so we could make this work. The thing calls it a salad, but it looks more like a dip. And you're supposed to eat it with bread. Soft, ripe tomatoes preferred. More. Okay. Anyways, so we're gonna soldier forth. How long does this bread need to rest? Because we're making a bread as well, which claims to be a total of under 2 hours, including all the resting times. So we should start the breads, I think. We should start the breads because they do need to rest for around an hour. And we know how I am with bread. And this is another new kind of bread I've never done before. Sorry, I didn't fully clean up my workspace even before I was jumping on. I was so frazzled. I should have put it off for a little bit, but I wanted to get stuck in on this one. So Khobz. We're going to start with Khobz, which again, it's giving me volume measurements. Don't give volume measurements, people. We're getting the big bowl out. We're preemptively getting the big bowl out. The flour tower. And salt, sugar, yeast, olive oil, water. Baking sheet. The baking sheet is going to have to be, we're going to have to use one of my crappy baking sheets. Okay. Baking sheet with parchment paper or oil or semolina or cornmeal. Options. Which is interesting. Flour, salt, sugar in a large bowl. Create a well in the center. Add the yeast. I can do that. Hope I have enough flour. I did not plan ahead for that either. So, I told you about my morning. I'm all frazzled because I didn't plan this out at all. And we are literally reading the recipe on the fly as I'm starting it. So, how's your morning? What did you find at the farmer's market? I ended up finding blueberries, which we're not using. And then after I got back and decided what I was making, kicked myself for not picking up any of the nice tomatoes that have started to come in. Also, welcome in. Hello. Okay, a lot of flour. Leave the scoop in there. Dust my hands off. The blueberries are still coming in at my farmer's market. And now lots of eggplants and tomatoes and zucchinis and lots and lots of stuff are coming in. But I've already got eggplants. I didn't buy any eggplants. I didn't want to buy tomatoes without a plan because I have a bad habit of letting them go off on me. We need the teaspoon. 2 teaspoons of salt. 2 teaspoons of sugar. Flour, salt, sugar, mix. Okay, mixed. Make a well in the center. Add the yeast. Yellow beets, purple carrots, eggplants, and mushrooms. See, I saw all those things at mine too, and I didn't buy any of them. Yeast. Quite a bit of yeast. We need a full tablespoon of yeast, which does not fit in my thing there, so 2 half tablespoons. We need a lot of yeast for this. Oh, no. Yeah, 1 tablespoon of yeast. That's still a lot of yeast. A full tablespoon of yeast is a lot of yeast. It's going to be very yeasty. And then we need water. I did clean out the measuring cup. 1 1/4 warm, not hot. I was doing dishes, so my water is already warmer than body temp. So I will take that, add some of the water to the yeast. Use your fingers to dissolve it. This is a very different method than I am used to for any type of bread. Okay. Add the rest of the water. And the olive oil, which we need 2 tablespoons of. And make dough. Okay. A tablespoon away. I am following a recipe. I've actually got both recipes. Look at a recipe for Zaalouk and a recipe for Khobz. And they are from the same place this time. It is A Taste of Morocco. So that's fun. Let's get our typical option for a dough spoon, this guy, and make this into a dough. Combine, knead into a dough, work, knead the dough until it's smooth. Okay, yeah, doughify it, and then start kneading. And I think we're going to start kneading it in the bowl, which is why I got the big bowl here. I'm supposed to have extra water and extra flour handy to either make this wetter or drier as needed. Well, it's picking up a lot of the loose powder, so that's a good sign. It's a pretty dry, shaggy mess, but it is starting to stick together already. So we are getting there. Oop, oop, oop. So I think I'm going to dive in with my hands. See if I can't get this to start actually sticking together into a singular mass. As always, this is dependent on a lot of factors, ambient humidity, and the fact that it gave me volume measurements instead of weight measurements again. Recipe writers, stop doing that. But this is sticking together pretty well. So I've had these fruit flies now for days, and I can't figure out what to do about them. I put out a trap, and they all ignored it. And I also don't have any, like, old fruit laying around that they'd be attracted to. I don't know what they're after. They've just been hanging around. Get these masses and blobs. I know some of our regulars here in the old chat are not going to be here today, so I appreciate those of you who are showing up. Some of my friends, some of my IRL friends, who sometimes frequent the chat, are painting a house today. And I'll be going there after this as well. So I'm bringing a shareable because I'm going to be late. We're bringing this. Okay. This is not sticking together, which is a good sign. And it is picking up all of the... Well, it's not sticking... Sorry, it's not, it is sticking together. It's not sticking to me or the bowl. It's sticking to itself really well. And it's picking up all the extra debris in the bowl pretty well as well. So I think we're going to go ahead and slap it onto the Cizan. Hello, welcome in. We're going to slap it out here. We need to knead this until it's nice and smooth. I've been requested a moisten, which thought you'd catch me out with dirty hands this time, but this is a nice clean dough. If I can just go over here and pour a glass of water and have at it. Oh. Moist. Wow, I was thirsty. I slammed half of that glass of water in one go. So our kind of dry dough with a lot of yeast in it needs to be kneaded for a little while. To get it nice and smooth. We have the flour tower handy in case it goes sticky on me, but I don't think it's going to because it's already a fairly good texture. We just need to get it smooth. It's a bigger ball than I'm used to working with at this stage as well. If this works out, I'd bake this again. If it doesn't, then I won't. That's often how cooking works. So we've got let's get a clock up there. Several minutes to knead this. Because we want a nice smooth surface, a nice elastic dough. So, have any of you had Moroccan food before? I feel like I've been to a Moroccan restaurant once. Maybe, but I can't remember it really. So maybe I'm just imagining it. I was racking my brains trying to come up with something shareable, since I'm going to be meeting with people after the show today. And they'll be hungry from painting a house that I'm not joining in on because I'll be here cooking this instead. Oh, you got a Moroccan friend in high school. That's cool. Well, I think they'll have it done in under an hour because they're not painting the whole house. They're painting part of the house. Oh, that's what's grainy in here. The salt crystals I used were too large. They didn't really dissolve. Ooh, should have paid attention to that. That's going to affect our finished thing. They're painting the window frames. All of the window frames in the house, but that's not a lot of, it's not that much to do. So, yeah, that's what that texture I'm feeling is. And it's tearing into my, it's tearing into the gluten strands a little bit. Because you can, I don't know if you can see them, but there's, I won't focus that close. There's still intact salt crystals in the dough blob here because I used a coarse sea salt instead of a fine salt. And in fact, some of the salt crystals have fallen out as I've been kneading it. So that's less than ideal. Anyways, there's also a lot of them showing up. So he asked for help and he got like 10 people responding. So I'm actually expecting them to be done pretty quickly because there are a lot of hands. So I wanted to make something shareable. And I've got eggplants. So I was thinking, well, I just made baba ganoush. I don't want to make baba ganoush again. I just made pita. I don't want to make pita again. Hope these salt crystals don't mess this up. I should have thrown my salt in the old mortar, ground it up fine so it would dissolve. I'm gonna ask Google about it. Google says it's fine. I don't know. Well, that was a different kind of bread. It's getting very smooth. It's actually very smooth to the touch, except for the few little salt things that I'm getting texture on. So maybe we'll just have sort of a homogeneous, a little bit of homogeneity to our finished thing here. We have an ad coming up. I'm going to knead right through the ad. We'll stop immediately after it. Well, actually, it might be too long because the ad doesn't start immediately when the timer goes. It then says ad soon, and then it plays an ad. It said 5 to 10 minutes until we have a nice, smooth, supple, bouncy dough. And we have a smooth dough at the moment. It's very, very smooth to the touch. It springs back, but not all the way and not instantly. And it doesn't bounce. I'll give it a little more time. Get the recipe back over. Khobz. Until smooth and elastic. I don't think I need to work in anything else. Oop, I need my tea towel. I need my proofing towel. What's the temperature on the eggplant? Oh, the eggplant just wants a broil. Ooh, okay. The eggplants want a broil. Will they fit on the small pan? Probably just. Probably only just. This is a nice dough. This right here, this is a nice dough. I like this dough. It's not difficult to knead. It's nice and soft. Okay, I'm probably going to just keep going through the ad at this point. That should give us our full 10. Maybe I should just stop now. I'm not sure. Because I think we've got... Because if I... No, it still wants to tear a little bit. There it is. Ad has started. Okay. In that case, we are definitely just going to knead until the ad is over. Going to try to knead it a little smoother. Get rid of some of these fold-over creases that it's been developing as I've done the old fold and push, fold and push. Okay. Khobz. Knead the dough. Divide into 2 mounds. $15. I will wait the 15 seconds for our ad. We're going to be broiling the eggplant. So the ad's over. Okay. With the ad over, I'm going to divide this guy in half because this makes 2 Khobz. Get these creases away. I'm supposed to make these each into a smooth thing. So we'll squinch the bottoms together. This side was already smoother, so it'll be easier to squinch together. There. Khobz. Semolina. I'm going to go for the semolina because I happen to have semolina. We don't get to use it very often. And it would be the most appropriate thing here, which also means we don't have to put any foil or paper on our sheet here. We just need a dusting of fine semolina. Someday we'll make pasta with our fine semolina. Semolina is a strange wheat. It's very hard, but low in gluten. So, come on. Stick. Stick, damn you. Okay. This guy also needs to frickin' stick. Okay. Space them out. I gotta go find my tea towel, my protective towel. Put the dough kids here to bed. We'll just set them to the side here. They need to rest now for 10 to 15 minutes, presumably to relax their glutens a little bit. Isosceles. It is a kind of a magical towel. It is a lint-free towel. It does not lint. Okay, while those are getting started, retrieve our eggplants. Which need to be, according to this, destemmed. So we will break the calyx off first. This thing around the top where the stem meets the fruit is called a calyx. It's a plant part. So we're going to break our calyx. Ooh, these are really good ripe eggplants because the eggplant flesh is purple up underneath the calyx. Oftentimes you'll get one that looks completely ripe, and then when you peel that away, there'll be a little underripe spot right at the top. Okay. The stems are not good eaten, so we were getting rid of the stems. We're treating this a lot like what we did. They taste like eggs and plants. They honestly, they don't taste like a lot. But yeah, they made those. They made that purple emoji into a real thing. Here, I've got a third one that we're not using today. That can just sit here and be decorative, and we can all giggle about it. I've actually got the white kind. That is a little more suggestive. Anyways, we are going to attempt to get. Oh, I think this sheet's going to be too small. We're going to have to go with the slightly larger but crappy pan that I don't use because it's crappy. Okay. So, trim the stems, split them. The skins can be a little bit leathery. I should start cutting them from the stem end where I've already broken the skin. Remove stems, split. Don't oil them. Place them skin side up on your baking sheet, like so, unoiled. Unoiled. Put your oven rack to the top position. Make sure that's not going to touch the top of the oven. I've already moved the oven rack to the top position. So oven rack to the top position. Get these things as close to the coil as you can without touching it. And put it to broil for 20 minutes. This is going to be a thing. I don't know about this. Yeah, we're blasting the crap out of these things. That's the plan here. While the eggplant is roasting, peel, seed, and chop the tomato. Now I'm going to be embarrassed for a moment here because I've got a tomato that has definitely gone off. This tomato. Here's the bottom. Here's the top. We're going to cut away that gnarly bit on the top and see how much of this we can salvage. If that goes too deep, we're going to have to pitch the whole thing. So we're going to take the top of this tomato off and see how deep in that gnarliness goes. Looks like it only was in that top part. So we've got most of a tomato here. That's good. That's good. Supposed to have two medium or 2 large tomatoes or more to taste. So whatever, however much tomato you want. Sure. And we're supposed to peel the tomato. And I couldn't peel it the blanching way, so I guess we're going to peel it. I don't have a toothed peeler. And I don't have a toothed peeler to really get in there. So let's see if I can't get a hold of it. Okay, this is kind of working. It's holding on at the point where normally you'd cut it for a blanch. This is this is definitely the hardest way to peel a tomato. Just pulling the skin off. But it's actually easier than I was expecting. Normally what you'd do for a whole tomato, if you wanted to peel it, you'd cut a little X at the bottom, opposite the stem, and then you'd dip it in boiling water for just like a minute, not even a minute. And then the skin just lets go of the inside of the tomato. It comes off super easy. It comes off kind of like this, except without me having to really pull the way I'm really pulling. This is working way better than I was expecting it to. Just yank the skin off. So that's good. We are going to end up cutting the little nub off the bottom. Okay, well that was not as hard as I had feared. So yeah, don't let your tomatoes go off. And that's the reason I didn't buy tomatoes today at the farmer's market, because I wasn't planning on anything with tomatoes at the time. And I know from my own experience that I have a bad habit of letting them sit around too long and start to go off. Of course, we ended up making something that calls specifically for tomatoes. And fresh farmer's market tomatoes would be way better. Okay, so that's one large tomato diced up. Seed. I'm not seeding this tomato. I don't care about that. Tomato seeds are fine. The skins are the part you want to get rid of because they turn plasticky in a lot of cooked applications. Let's get the tomatoes into a bowl. I'm actually not sure how cooked this is. Cook the mixture. Yeah, we're cooking it, so of course we're cooking it. Okay, tomato chunks. Ugh. Tomato goop. We're just going to rinse the tomato goop off. I just remembered why I never used that pan. It flexes aggressively when it gets hot, which it just did. Yep, that's why I never used that pan. Yeah. Hope we didn't jump our eggplants. No, but the pan is diagonal now. Yeah, that's why I never used that pan. That's why I've switched entirely to using these rolled aluminum pans. They don't flex like that. They're good. I actually need to get a new one. I need to get another one. And I frequently find myself needing two pans, and also I cut something on the pan I have, so it's not smooth. It's got some linear indents in it from foolishly cutting something on it. So I need to take the time and just go get another one of those because they're so useful. But the eggplants did not flip. It's just that some of them are now slightly closer to the heating elements than others. Okay, it's been more than the allotted time for the breads, so let's get them up. Here. Hello, breads. Back to the Khobz. Divided after resting, pat the mounds into flat discs about a 1/4 inch thick and recover for an hour, which is fine because we have other things to do. So this is why we need the large pan for these guys, because they are going to take up a lot more room. The resting phase we just went through was to soften them up enough that we could spread them like this. So, slide you to the edge a little bit so they don't touch in the middle. I mean, yeah, they don't take long to bake, but yeah, they have to now go through a rise because they are yeasted bread. No, I fully expected it to be done. I was shooting for noon because these then only have to bake for. Oh, I suppose they're baking for a little bit. Okay. Yeah, initially we thought it was going to be a big project, but the more we talked about it and the more people said, yeah, I'll help, the more everyone sort of realized that it wasn't going to take that long, the project. So I'm bringing snacks instead of mussels today. Okay, those have to rise for around an hour. It actually doesn't say anything about how big they're supposed to be, just that they need to spring back when pressed. So I guess we're aiming for that. I could actually, I'm going to move them. I'm going to move them to the warm room in the front because I think they will proof faster over out here because it's warm and it's warmer and a bit more humid because I've got it closed for the against the summer heat. There's a room in my house that I close off for summer because it is so poorly ventilated, or it is so poorly connected to the ventilation in my house that it stresses my air conditioner to try to keep up with that room. So, but I'll put it in that room. That's great because that room is always kind of warm. So that might speed us up. We'll keep an eye on those. Well, we'll check back in with those. We don't need the flour tower anymore, so we'll get rid of that. We ended up not needing any extra flour. Amazingly, that recipe gave me just the right amount of flour for a nice, smooth dough. Back to the Zaalouk. So the Khobz are the bread, and the Zaalouk is the eggplant tomato stuff. We're going to need more tomato. We need additional tomato. So I'm going to grab one of my cans of diced tomato. We have Hunt's, not a sponsor. Not a sponsor brand canned tomato, which I got for $1. We're going to open this up. We're going to drain all the juice out, and we're going to use this as well to pretend that we had 2 tomatoes. I'm learning to love this this new cutter. It's a little bit stiffer. It's a little bit getting used to, but now that I'm more used to it, I'm really thinking it's better, and they should probably go mainstream because you don't. Oops. Leave sharp edges. The blade never goes in the food, so it doesn't get dirty. You can put the lid back on when you're done, and it like stays-ish. It doesn't seal, but it like doesn't fall in. So we're going to drain the juice out of this using the lid, like so, but directly in the sink so you can't see it. And it's mostly not juice in there, which is fine. We'll add that. We're going to make it very tomato because you can add extra tomato, as it said. Extra tomato to taste. I can smell something burning in the oven. The coil has turned off. Tomato, we need a large skillet. We are going to use non-stick today because I think the tomatoes are going to be a touch acidic. A little crusty on my pan there. We'll just get rid of that. A bunch of olive oil. As it says, 4 tablespoons of olive oil, no need to measure. So, because it's enough olive oil to saute all your stuff in. Okay, the broiler coil has kicked back on, so I'll be able to see in the glow. We're looking for the skins on the eggplants to blister and blacken. That's the target for them. We're trying to mimic, I think, a fire char in the oven. Charred and puckered with sections that crumble or crack when pressed. That's the goal. We need olive oil, garlic, parsley, cilantro, which we are skipping. Whoa, we need a lot of garlic. Okay, let's get cracking on a lot of garlic. We need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is what it calls for. Let's go for 7. Pressed or finely chopped. We're going to actually use the press for these. I do have a garlic press, and since we're doing a bunch of these, and the roller, since we're doing a bunch of these, I will actually press them out today, which I normally don't do. I'm not a big fan of garlic presses, but they are handy when you've got to smash a large number of garlics in a less than large amount of time. I love this thing, the peeler. It's such a handy thing. Whoever came up with this and didn't put their brand or name or anything on the actual device, so we can't ever thank them, except with a nebulous thank you. That one is too flat and square to fully peel in the roller. It doesn't roll, it just slides around. So, okay. Ooh, I need to open up my compost bucket because the debris is building up to the point where it's going to spill over if I don't. Okay. The bucket has a divot on the top, which is great for holding stuff that is going in the compost before you actually want to put it in there, so you don't have to open up the bucket every time. And then you can just open the bucket and tip the stuff in. We have an ad in progress that snuck up on me again. Do not worry, though. I will be crushing garlics. This garlic press I got at Goodwill. It is something that I had been looking for a long time because I wanted an all-metal garlic press. I hate the ones that have the little plastic plate because I think they have worse durability. And I also don't like the ones that have the little nubbins that go through the holes on the press because they are much more difficult to clean. Whereas this one has a flat pressing surface that pushes into a flat steel pressing surface that pushes into a flat steel grate. It does do this, where the garlic kind of gooshes up the sides, and I'm sure that's why it ended up at Goodwill, but that is not hard to deal with. And it only does it when you've done several cloves, so my recommendation for garlic presses is the things I just said, except get one that doesn't sort of goosh quite so badly. And then we need a knife. I licked my finger with the garlic. That was a mistake. Freshly crushed garlic is pungent and potent. Those eggplants smell like they're charring, which is what we're going for, but I need to take them out of there and peek at them. Okay. Crushed up garlic, which needs to rest and develop its flavor anyway, so that's a good time. Oh, and there's the goop. We'll just put that in there. Why not? It's mostly bits of skin, but it's crushed up to the point where I think it'll fall apart when we cook it, so. So, garlic. Should have done that first. But garlic, crushed. Lots of garlic, crushed. Um, we need some. Well, it actually does not call for ground cumin. It calls for whole cumin. Which I have here somewhere. Spices. I might crush up the cumin just a little bit, but we don't need to powder it. What is it? Teaspoon of cumin. Oh, I've already used the teaspoon. Oh, nope, I didn't get it wet. Perfect. Doesn't fit. Okay, our teaspoon of cumin. That's quite a bit of cumin. 2 of paprika, which I've got in spades. And it does not need to be crushed up because it's already a powder, so we will put that in its own little bowl. And this one does, in fact, fit, which is great because then you can do a little scrape, and a little scoop, and a little scrape for a nice, perfect measurement. It's two teaspoons of cumin. Wow, that is actually quite a lot of cumin. We're going to add the 2nd teaspoon of cumin because it does actually call for 2, and I was misreading. Because it seemed like a lot of cumin. But yeah, okay. Parsley, it asks for a measurement, but you can't measure parsley. That's not possible. And salt. And optional, cayenne peppers, lemon juice. Oh, we should, while I'm doing this, let's go over here. I haven't turned this on yet, so that's fine. I want to get those eggplants out and take a peek at them because they've been in there for several minutes and they smell like they're charred. Turn the oven off. They don't look massively different. I don't see any blisters or puckers on them. You can see how this pan is warped from the heat. This is why I don't use this pan. I should just get rid of it and replace it. They're dry to the touch. They're hard, but they squish when you poke them. They're a little bit too hot to poke with my fingers. Oh, no, the skins definitely sort of crackle. Well, okay, some of them do. We're going to put it back in for 5 more minutes, flipped around, because I think it's hotter on this end than on that end. Possibly because of the warped pan, but possibly not. So let's get them back in there. Put the broiler back on, but only for 5 more minutes, just enough time to get my spices ready. We are not adding any cayenne to this. Instead, I'm going to grab one of these dried bird's eyes, which is going to make us some spice. Oop. Come over here. This is my jar of dried peppers. I need to use more of. There's a whole variety in there, which means I come up with all sorts of weird things when I reach in and grab a pepper. So, find out. But I want them sort of crushed into flakes. And then we grind to kind of break up the cumin, but not fully. We don't need a powder. We just kind of want the cumins to crack. Yeah, okay. Wow, that's a lot of cumin. Wow, that's a lot of cumin. Unexpected amount of cumin. I will say that. There goes the pan again. Nice, loud, crazy pop. Let's make sure we didn't lose our eggplants. No, we didn't. Parsley. I've still got that parsley from last time that is a little under the weather. Let's see. That's what's great about that cutter. It's the lungs crave cumin. The lungs do indeed crave cumin. Ooh, I've got a bunch of tomato juice that I'm going to have to drain out of the bowl here. Because we don't want the excess juices. Okay, so putting it in the bowl was good because it helped extract some of the juice. Also, hi, Spear. Welcome, welcome. How goes? How goes it? Let's get our pan actually... Oh. Haha. Ooh. Oh, there's a lot of heat coming out of there. The oven vent. I've put the pan on the oven vent. That explains that. If I put the parsley in now, it will burn to almost nothing. Oh, we're also in the middle of an ad break, which once again snuck up on me, as it always does. So this pan is actually already heated a bit. Not hot, but it was getting a lot of residual from the broiler. But these tomatoes need to cook. Soften up. Because this is not a raw tomato dish. This is a cooked tomato dish. Don't mind that pot. That pot has waiting to be washed. That pot has been there and is waiting for a scrub-a-dub. Because once again, I was not prepared when we started today. In fact, let me get rid of that pan. Let me get rid of that pot. It's completely cold. I'll just put that out of sight so that also I have room to put the sheet of eggplant on the side here. Three hours later than usual, and am shriveling into a corn cob. I don't know what that means. Woke up 3 hours later than usual. You must be tired. We're going to add our pepper and cumin directly into the tomato. Oh, you know what I should add? Because I'm not adding cilantro, because we're not adding cilantro, I should add a little bit of coriander, just a little bit, to give that sort of flavor element to it. So we're just going to add just a pinch. Just a little pinch of fresh coriander seed. To sort of pretend. This probably was going to throw the flavor off, but you know, you cook. Cooking is more of an art than a science, and I've never had this before, so I don't know what it's supposed to taste like, so I'm just going to screw it up instead of following the recipe. That's the plan. Probably wants black pepper too. Oh, it actually does not call for pepper to taste. Amazing. Amazing. It also doesn't call for any black pepper at all, which is weird. But we're going to throw in a little bit of coriander. Well, I hope your morning is going good aside from the corn cob thing. I woke up early this morning. I was up at 7:30, which is early for me. And then I spent 3.5 hours, three and a quarter hours trying to come up with a recipe, something to do today. And then 15 minutes before we started, I was like, I'm going to make this thing that I've never heard of before now. Because why not? You know, why not? We will add our salt and paprika as well. Our tomatoes are expressing their liquid and starting to bubble. So I think we are safe to add our garlic and it won't toast in the bottom. Get the garlic off my hands before it gets sticky. Badoo. Put away. I'm going to call another audible real quick and throw in some powdered garlic to complement our fresh garlic, because I think those flavors go really well together. Stir this mess around real quick, but it's going to need to kind of broil away on itself. We need to get those eggplants out of the oven. Because the oven has another job to do, and it can't be set to broil for that job. So oven is going to go fully off so it can cool a little bit. We're going to get those eggplants out. They smell a little burnt, but I think that's the point. They look fully black. Let's compare the color of these eggplants to the fresh one. They look fully black by comparison to this dark purple. So I believe that is what we were going for. When the eggplants are roasted, remove them from the oven. When cool enough to handle, scoop the flesh out, discard the skin. Just like we did before, except this time we've attempted to do a charred surface. And we've actually got our blistering and cracking surface, which is what we were going for. So that should be good. I don't have any fresh lemon, but I'm going to get my bottle of lemon juice out so that we can add some lemon to this, because I think that sounds good. It is optional, but I'm going to do it. Oh, it's a little bit thick in here from the burnt eggplant. Whew. I should have had something other than sweets for breakfast today. I'm gonna be hungry. We are turn that down a little bit. Tomato mixture over medium heat until the tomatoes break down and a rich sauce forms. So what we're doing now is reducing the tomatoes. We're cooking the tomatoes until they fall apart, and then we're kind of turning them into a tomato sauce. Since we have two donenesses of tomato in here, the canned one and the fresh one, the fresh chunks are going to be the ones that we have to keep an eye on, because the canned ones will break down much faster because they're already par cooked from the canning process. If you're not aware, canning, when they put something in one of these here cans, this happens to be peas, the can itself gets cooked. And that's why they're preserved so well, because it is essentially heated to the point where the interior is sterilized after it has been sealed. And that's part of the canning process, and it's why things stay good in a can for so long. But it also means that things, especially more delicate things, if you put it in a can, it gets cooked in the can. That's why, like, canned peas, canned green beans, canned tomatoes, a lot of these canned things are quite different than the fresh version. It's because they are in fact cooked, partially at least, by being put in the can. That's why canned green beans taste like crap, for example. Wow, it's the air is really thick in here, but it's not like visibly smoky. We're just getting like vapors from a lot of cumin. Ooh, these guys are hot. Let's see if I can't get them off of here. They'll cool faster if I can get them off of this sheet. Oh, of course they stuck. I don't know why it said no oil. That was weird. Oh, thank you for the moisten. Moist. I don't know why it didn't want oil on these, but of course they're going to stick with no oil. I should have oiled the bottom surfaces just so they wouldn't glue themselves flat on the thing. I don't know, that's weird. It probably has to do with trying to mimic cooking them over a fire, which is definitely what we were like going for there. Was should have charred them over an open flame. They're hot, the pan is hot, the foil is already cooling off, especially around the edges. I'm just going to get them off using the foil so that we can forget about the pan and they'll cool off a little bit faster, not having to deal with the residual heat of the pan. And we can attempt to scrape them away from the foil without losing too much of them. They're not sticking badly, but they're sticking more than not at all, and I don't like it. And I don't like it. I don't want a knife, because I don't want to cut the pan, or cut the foil. I just need like a thin-edged scraper. Okay, they don't stick bad. They're not sticking real bad, so... Okay, okay. We can solve this. They'll cool off faster if I can get them nose up like this as well. That one stuck and tore its own guts out. Okay, we can try it this way. Some of them are sticking quite badly and some of them are not. And we don't have that many of them, so the variation is frustrating. Try to get any of the stuck bits off without tearing the foil, because then we'll have bits of foil in our eggplants. Okay, and the foil, now that it's away from that heat, is already fully cooled. So we'll just get rid of that. Scoop these out, add the scooped out middles to the tomato mixture. Once the tomato mixture is saucy, and the tomatoes are mostly broken down, which we're getting to actually. Some of the chunks mash quite easily when I just press on them with the spatula here, so can I handle you yet? Yes. Okay, good. We're gonna scoop them out into the mix over there. So we'll just pop over there. Grab ya boy. And get him in there. Come on, let go. Discard the skins. We've been using recipes that discard the skins of a lot of things. The baba ganoush did the same thing with the eggplants, where it discarded the skins. We're doing it again now with the eggplants. And we discarded the skins on the tomatoes. What is the aversion to skins? I usually leave the skins on stuff. Oop, oop. Come on, let go. Let go. Okay. Let's try scraping from the stem end down, because it seems to have the hardest time letting go from that end. The baba ganoush actually said if you have an open flame, cook them with an open flame, and don't worry if little bits of skin get in, little bits of charred skin get in the finished thing. They add flavor. So I'm not worried that we are cracking our skins a little bit as we scoop. Oh yeah, scooping from the stem down is definitely the way to go. The fibers release much, much, much better. Okay. Rinse my fingers off. And we combine this. The eggplant should be soft enough that by just kind of mashing it around with the spatula, it breaks apart and combines with our other ingredients. Do have a little bit of skin in there. We'll just mash that around a little bit. Yeah, our doneness is looking good. It almost looks like it's got cheese in it, but it super does not. Okay. Mash any firm bits of eggplant. We've just done that. Add some lemon juice. Optional. Lemon juice. I don't have a fresh lemon this time, so we're using a bottled lemon. Cook for 5 to 10 minutes, set aside, serve warm, room temperature, or chilled, your choice. Neat. Oh, we're in the middle of an ad break. Once again, the ad break snuck up on me. I've got some parsley to add to it. And this is definitely, I think, the end of this parsley. I'm not even going to show you the parsley. We're going to retrieve the usable bits of it. Avoid these yellow leaves. Once upon a time, and I've heard other people say this, once upon a time I was like, I don't like parsley, it just tastes like leaves. And I've heard other people say that, it just tastes like leaves. And I have grown to love parsley. I use it quite a bit in things as an herb, not just as a garnish. That's the thing, people use it as a garnish. And I've learned to love using it as an herb directly. It also makes an attractive garnish, but I think you're underselling its potential if you think of it as just a leafy garnish. It has a nice, fresh, like springy flavor to it. It tastes herbaceous, not just leafy. But it also cooks really, really very fast. So if you want it to be a noticeable component of whatever you're putting it into, you either have to add a ton of it, or, like we're doing here, add it late. Ooh, we're sticking a little bit. Which means I'm going to take the heat off and aggressively scrub the bottom to prevent stickage. Good thing we used a non-stick for this, because that would probably have already adhered and required deglazing in a normal steel pan. Okay. Oh, this pan is already cool enough to handle, so I can push it to the back. Oh, so we could have used the same. Well, no, we can't because it's currently resting on that pan. We're going to move this guy off the heat and kind of let him chill out with himself. We need to check on our breads It has not been the full hour, but it doesn't have to be the full hour. They just have to be a good consistency. Oh, another moisten. I'm getting so moist today. All right, finished my water. Moist. Let's go get our bread from the front and give it a look-see. By which I means I'm going to look at it and see. It smells yeasty in the front. It's a decent sign. Here it is. White on white. Let's take a peek. Let's take a peek at these baby breads. They look very similar, but they're taller. And they bounce back when I poke them. They bounce back when I poke them, and they are taller than they were when I put them in there by about, they're about 3 times taller than they were when I put in there. It's been, what, 40 minutes? And they were in the warm room, so they've had a little bit of an advantage. They're actually slightly cool to the touch on their own. Probably didn't get as warm as I thought they might. But they have poofed. I guess we'll bake them. The Zaalouk is already done. The Khobz need about 20 minutes, so that would be a good timing. Preheat your oven to 435. Well, I'm sorry, recipe, but my oven is not that precise. But it's already hot, so that should only take a moment for it to stabilize at that temperature. After resting, pat the mountain flat. Rise until the dough springs back when pressed lightly, which it is doing. So I think we're done. When the oven is hot, lightly score the top with a knife or poke it with a sharp fork. What do you think? Do we want scores or pokes? Probably scores, right? Get my little razor sharp knife out. Clean it, because I used it recently. Probably just some light surface scoring, which is no doubt to prevent it from tearing open in the event that it does that rise thing. Or a sharp stick. Because we don't score it until it's ready to go in. We score it. That's the last thing we do before we put it in, is we score it. We can actually use the towel, which I moved to the other room because I thought I was done with it. We actually use the towel at the end to hold the baked cobs. So we're going to keep the towel handy and get a container. I don't have a decorative basket to put them in. We're just waiting. We're just now waiting for the oven to tell me that it is up to temp. because we had it turned off after the eggplant and it dropped enough. And then I guess I'm going to make myself a little snack while it's baking, because like I said, I should have had something other than sweets for breakfast. This would be more than enough to sate me for lunch, but I'm planning on sharing it, so I won't get the whole thing to myself. So we'll make a quick something else. Something small, probably just a noodle bowl. One of the things I sort of make for myself that don't take long enough to do as a show, but I love doing. Just as soon as that oven is off. I did not move the rack, but that's because I have one rack at the top position and one rack at the center position. So we will simply put the bread in the center position rack. When we get that far, yeah, okay, you can move to the back. I'm going to get a little pot of water started, because I think I'm going to make myself some noodles. That's going to be my lunch on the side. Yeah. All a late breakfast. Come on, oven. Come on, oven. I know you're already very hot in there. Stop pretending. Stop pretending like you take an hour to heat up when you've been broiling for that long. Put a few things away while I'm waiting. I like these new black bowls I got. We saw one for the pink soup the other day. They're good for the light colored things. They're also a good size. I've gradually been acquiring sort of missing elements in terms of sizes. I've got cereal bowls, I've got soup bowls, I've got all sorts of things that I used to have to kind of fumble around awkwardly in between sizes. There, the oven's clicked. Let's not forget to score these. Give them a Z pattern or an N pattern, depending on the angle. Get them in there. And 20 minutes, so it'll be 6 minutes after noon when they are done. Okay, we're going to make a quick and dirty lunch. We're going to use, I would use this pan, but this pan needs to be replaced because this pan now, eggs stick to it immediately, which means that the nonstick is dead. So I guess we're going to use the larger pan. The larger pan has also been having some issues with some light stickage. So both my pans, both my most used nonstick pans are suffering from age. We'll need to get new ones soon. A little bit of olive oil, a little bit of, let's see, probably just do eggs and onions. Probably just do eggs and onions. Lots of green onions out there. Let's grab half an onion. Grab a small onion. Oh, I moved the board only a short distance this time instead of all the way. Okay. This is the kind of thing I cook for myself. It comes up every once in a while on the show here, but they don't take very long, so I don't only do them when I'm trying to kill time. And the thing that I'm making as the primary is either not a meal or is planning on being shared heavily. I actually did one recently where immediately after stopping the show, I cooked one of these and I was like, oh, I should have just done that on the show. It only would have taken 20 minutes. Oh, that's a pungent onion. Wow, I've barely even... Wow. Whoa. Whoa. I barely got into this onion and it's making me cry something fierce. Wow. Jesus. Okay, well. Chill out, onion. Get you cut up and in the... Wow, I never cry on onions. Gee. Hefty onion. Some light oil, medium-high heat. Onion. Salt. Noodles, random spices. Yeah. Don't want to open the oven until we're ready to get those breads out of there. I don't think they're going to have a really, brilliant, French-style crust. I think they're going to be more of a sort of pale, dusty look to them. Because there's no steam, there's no oil. Let's get out our packaged ramen noodles. Remove the flavor. Place the brick in the boiling water. Discard the flavor. Don't need it. Select a few random spices and 2 sauces. Let's go with a very fishy base today. And some spice. And some, Chili Krispies. Chili Krispies. Those are always good. And actually, let's throw in a little bit of shrimp fry instead of the fish sauce. Okay. Our onions are developing a sizzle. I'm going to get a different spatula out to not cross-contaminate. Okay. I'll put that there. That burner's the vent. To this, we are going to add some get the bottle open. Chinese oyster sauce. Open bottle. Some Korean chili flakes. Some Indonesian shrimp paste. Some European garlic powder. And the last dregs of our, back to China, this jar of Laogan Ma, which despite being made out of chili peppers is not actually very spicy, so it's got a rich toasty flavor. I just picked up a fresh jar of that, so we can clear out the old jar freely. Fusion! This is usually how I do fusion cooking. I just grab a bunch of random things because I have, at this point, so many random ingredients that we just have fun with them. You know what I just picked up? You know what I just picked up, and we're going to add to this because I want to try it out. Brand new jar, never been opened, still breaking the seal on it. It's got 2 seals on it. Got some Laogan Ma in my hand. Sumac. We're going to add some sumac to this. Just because, why not? Throw it in. Black pepper, turn the noodles off, get out a bowl, because we're about to serve this already. Get out an egg. Stir this stuff around. A little bit of stickage, not too bad. Oh, it's the shrimp paste that's having a hard time. Grab an egg. These are all on the smaller side, so we might do 2. And we'll do 1 egg. Actually, I have a fresh thing of eggs. Maybe there are some oversized ones in here. I buy ungraded eggs, so sometimes my eggs end up, one big egg instead of 2 medium eggs, because that's less egg overall. Sometimes my eggs are very inconsistently sized. But I would like to just slap one in there. Pop the yolk. Stir it around. We're going to have a little bit of stickage. We're going to have a little bit of stickage because, again, this pan is starting to give up. Heat off. Drain the noodle. Just get rid of that guy. Put that mush on the top of that, and that's a pretty solid, quick lunch. It only took, what, 13 minutes with some faffing around? We even have time to do a fancy garnish on it. You can stick around however you like. The bread is got a couple of minutes left on it, just a few minutes left. We have an ad approaching as well. The bread won't be out until after the ad. Let me grab a green onion real quick. I think that the bread is probably going to be a little bit too hot to eat immediately. So I should... I'm interested to see how it turns out, but I should probably taste the... Oh God, I keep forgetting the name of this thing. Zaalouk before we end, even though I don't have the bread for it. Let's give this just a drop of sesame oil. Not. And that's a thing that I make for myself for a quick meal off screen all the time. It's called noodles with stuff. Grab a chopstick, stick it in. I'll go take a picture. I'm not sure I'll post this one. This one might just be for you guys because I don't post boring cooking real often, and I think anybody knows how to make this thing. But we'll take pictures just in case I change my mind and want to. Wow, a lot of dings going on. Ding, ding. Every time it dings, it vibrates the screen just a tiny bit and gives me out of focus camera shots. So that's what we've got there. That's my lunch. We have just a few minutes left on the Khobz. And the Zaalouk is already finished. I could probably get it in a dish. It doesn't have to sit in that pan. It would be nice if I had a decorative dish that was also had a lid on it. I don't know that that is a thing that I can supply. How much of this stuff is there? If I sort of mush it together on itself. Zaalouk. Zaalouk. Yeah, maybe. It's close to filling this container entirely. Which is slightly worrisome. I'm going to go for it in this container, however. Kind of. Oh no, that'll be fine. I was mis-eyeballing that. There's plenty of room. It's like the perfect size. It won't touch the lid, and but it fills it most of the way. So it's not going to be the prettiest in terms of plating on account of it being in a container that has a lid. And I only have a few containers with lids. I can fake the bread, though, by... The bread can go in a metal bowl, but you won't be able to see the metal because I'm going to line it with a towel. Kind of squinch it together. We can pretend this is a nice bowl. Instead of just one of my many metal mixing bowls. And that is our 20 minutes on the bread as well. So I'm going to go take a peek at it. Let's get to the stovetop side and get the pot holders handy. So we're gonna take a look. We're gonna take a look. It's coming out right now. Ooh, it looks good. Our score didn't actually go all the way through on this one. It just created like a dent. They sound nice and hollow. They don't sound solid or thick. They sound nice and hollow. So I'm going to say that they look done. We're going to put the one with the nice sort of Z on the top when I stack these in the pan there. But that's them. Wow. And they should release with no trouble. I said they should release with no trouble. There we go. Hot, 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 hot. Okay. And that is what they look like. The one that actually got a nice Z on it is on the top. The other one kind of just got 2 slashes, which is fine. Which is fine for the purposes of scoring, but it doesn't look quite as nice. They're definitely too hot to eat right now. Now I'm gonna making a decision. Pulling a decision. We are, for the photos, we're gonna put the Zaalouk in a decorative dish because I want the nice photo. But then we're going to taste it without the bread. Sadly, without the bread. Just so I can tell you about it. Actually, here's what I'll do. I'll take a little dab with a spoon. We're supposed to drizzle a little bit of olive oil on top of it anyways, so we will do that. We will do that. But I'm going to give you a little taster right now, just with a spoon, and tell you about it. It's very tomatoey. First thing, tomatoey. It's got a sharpness. It's got an acidity to it. It kind of gives you a little pinch in the back of your jaw, but it doesn't taste sour. It's got a sweetness. It's actually got quite a bit of a spice to it. One little chili pepper has definitely made the difference in terms of the spice front. It's got a burn. This would be good. This is good for the bread. For including it with the bread, that's good. I'm going to give it a decorative sprinkle of sesame seeds. And a sprig of parsley. I tore off all my good parsleys. So the eggplant, as usual with eggplant, in my experience, it doesn't add a lot of flavor, but it gives it a thick, sort of creamy texture. And I guess it kind of tempers other things. It's actually not as cumin forward as I thought it was going to be, considering how much we put in there. But it definitely has this warm spice flavor to it. It's not so like the baba ganoush had sort of strong, bright spices. It was much more acidic tasting. It had a sourness, and the garlic was very front and center. This has a warm flavor profile to it. It definitely is still acidic, but it doesn't taste sour. It just gives you sort of a little pinch and then it's got this warm, savory flavor to it. It's actually not. It's a little bit of spice in there too, but it's mostly got this sort of well-rounded sort of warmness to it. I'm going to take a photo of it in this bowl, decoratively, next to the Khobz. I might not get this one posted on the gram and places right away, because I want to run over while it's still fresh for sharing. So watch for it a little bit later today for the good photos. Okay. Bunch of photos of that. I did just taste it, so I can bring it back just so we can look at it. It's interesting. I like it. It wasn't that hard, but it was a little bit more fussy than I think the baba ganoush was. But it's a very different flavor. I almost think, despite the fact that this is fresh eggplant, fresh tomato, and that's the season we're in, I almost think this tastes more like a fall dish. Maybe it'll be different when it's cooled off a little bit more. It's still warm. It's not hot. It's a little bit above room temperature at the moment. It's actually cooled off quite quickly. I like it. I like it, and I don't have a lot to say about it other than the things I've already said, which I hope is enough. I'm always worried that I'm under-describing my food. So I kind of ramble on about it. But I think it's a winner. I guess we'll have the verdict from the painting party. I've also got my lunch here, which I did not taste. Let's have that. Take a bite of that. See what it do. See what it do. It smells like shrimp. Mmm. 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 4 or 5 random spices thrown together. How can you go wrong? Top flavor here is that Indonesian shrimp fry. That stuff, by the way, that stuff, really tasty. Now that I found the right one, we've got 2 jars of it here. You might not remember. You might not remember these. So, I picked up this one, shrimp fry. And this one is very strong and very fishy. It tastes a lot like a shrimp paste or a fish sauce. So it needs to be added very early in the cooking to sort of cook out. This one, which differs only from the word sautéed on the jar, has a much more rounded flavor. You can add it much later. You can add it as a garnish, even on a finished dish, and it is a much easier to use flavor. These 2 things are sitting not next to each other on the shelf, but because they're so similar, just kind of interleaved with each other, because I guess the people stocking them didn't notice the difference. So when I went looking for this, and I grabbed one of these, I was worried that this was like unusable, but now I've got both. But this thing tastes a lot like shrimp, like cooked shrimp. It is shrimp. It's tiny cooked shrimps. It's salted shrimps that have then been fried. And it adds a really nice sort of oceany, savory flavor without the pungency of like a fish sauce. It's a little bit less stanky. which I think makes it great. I think it makes it a very versatile ingredient. Because fish sauce you got to be careful with because it does have that stank to it. So if you add too much, it can really overpower. Whereas this shrimp stuff has a little bit of that. You can still definitely add too much of it. But because it's got its own sort of more rounded flavor to it, it's easier to mesh with other things. I recommend giving it a try. It might not be for everyone. It still is a little bit fishy. But I recommend giving it a try as a seasoning element. And gosh, there's our, there's all of our, let me get rid of this board. There's all of the fruits of my labor today. All in one picture. You can get rid of those side panels. Ta-da! For literally coming up with this 15 minutes before going live, I'm very satisfied. This was not that difficult to pull off. Considering it is now eggplant and tomato season, and that's the vast bulk of this, and also fresh garlic is coming in. Pretty much all the ingredients in this are coming into season right now. This is the time to make this. You can get fresh parsley growing at the farmer's market. You can get, today for the first time I saw those little hot chili peppers showing up, so you could put a fresh chili pepper in there. The only things that aren't coming into season right now that go in here are the dry seed spices, the cumin, the paprika, that sort of stuff. Everything else in here is literally in season right now. So I'd say give it a go. Be a little gentle on the spice if you do use a little Thai chili like I did, because it definitely spiced this whole thing quite prominently. I think a cayenne pod would have been better, and I actually think a little dusting of cayenne probably would have. I have powdered cayenne up here. Would have been even probably better. It's a little bit zippy. Okay, let's raid you guys off somewheres Sunday afternoon. Let's see. Violet was playing something this morning. I think we should drop off. There's a lot of people on right now. Mute. Let's drop off at Ilana. Oh, I misspelled it. That's why I can't. Let's drop off at Ilana. Ilana was cooking last week when we, last time? It wasn't last week, was that 2 weeks ago? Last time we visited Ilana, she was cooking. Today she's playing RimWorld. I was going to send us into a Baldur's Gate 3 stream, but I don't want spoilers. That's the new hotness, and I don't want spoilers, and I don't necessarily think everyone wants immediate spoilers, so I'm going to drop us off there, and then I'm going to quickly wrap up, pack up, and head over to the painting party with this stuff while it's still nice and fresh, and feed the painters. So yeah, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for showing up. That's always a plus when people actually show up and watch. If you missed it, and I know people did because it was just a last-minute surprise, I streamed on Thursday this week as well. It was a short one. I made the pink soup, which we still have some leftovers of, which I could actually show off because it's in a big jar here. This stuff, we made this stuff. which was very tasty, but it didn't take very long. So we had a short show. I might try to do that more often. Throw in a surprise. Thursdays seem like a good day for it because I got nothing else going on Thursdays. So stay tuned. I might even add it to my schedule as a, hey, surprise sometimes. Otherwise, yeah. Here comes the countdown. So I will just say, see you next week.